Can you hear me? All right, we're back.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry about the mics over there.
That's cool, man.
Just remember to talk right back.
She's got it.
Our next guest will be coming up in about 10 minutes. So, Brandon, I got you here, and we got this brief chance to talk, man. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, man? Hanging out.
Yeah. You been to the beach lately? You know how hot the water is right now? Water temp is 90 degrees, man. That's fucking hot.
It's pretty hot out, yeah. It's warm in here, too. I can see you're sweating.
Yeah, you too, man. You got shiny head, too, man. We need some, we need a makeup person here, man. But,
over here, please.
I need a sound guy so I can figure out how to run the fans and the AC without the noise.
The noise in the background,
yeah,
right?
These mics are got windscreens or directional. I think that's what I need is a directional around these, like a wall. But so what's going on this weekend? There's a lot of stuff. Dreb's going to a show. You got a show Friday. I'm going to try to get out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Actually, in St. Pete, you've got a show at Foo Bar for free with 6 bands that I'm doing. Generic Christ, Mosquito Teeth, my band The Scurvy, Abortion Twins, who are out on a little Florida tour right now, and Pigpen, who actually we had Bob and E-Rock on before,
Tuesday.
and the Pigpen guys, and
yeah, wow.
They're going to be awesome. I'm stoked to see them.
Yeah, they're great to see, man. I've only seen them just a little, man. I'm ready to go see them, man.
Yeah, and then on that show, we've got a band from Gainesville, too, coming down called Hot Graves. That's somebody you should check out if you haven't yet, Eric.
Okay.
It's like a mixture between, like, metal and punk, I guess, Maybe Municipal Waste-ish, if you've ever listened to them. But, yeah, and then the same night on Friday across the street from Foo Bar, you got... Car Bomb Driver, Spenjamin Bach, Fall on Purpose, and I believe The Little Jerks. And that's a free show as well, so if you're in St. Pete, both those bars will be running at the same time with the show. You can just go back and forth between the bars.
You're in the right place then.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be great. And then on Saturday night, Hank 3's playing down there too. That's going to be a great show.
Where's that at?
That's at State Theater.
My voice is going again, man.
Are you going to go to that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hank 3, yeah.
Oh, yes,
Should
definitely.
be a great show. He plays for like 4 hours. He doesn't even have an opening band. He just plays for 4 hours.
He's great. He's really cool as a person. Met him up in Atlanta. I mean, just a really cool guy, man. Definite cool guy. To me, he sounds more like his granddaddy than, basically, Hank Jr. sucks.
I saw Hank Jr.
I'm sorry, he sucks.
I like both seniors.
Commercialized country pop.
My dad's really into Senior.
I've got records from all
Senior.
of them.
I love Senior. I listen to him quite a bit. Oh, definitely do.
Gotcha.
Definitely love. Hank 3 had these boots. I saw him wear for 2 fucking years. They were super pointy kind that curled up.
Oh, yeah.
And he had this, we call it silver tape. Duct tape. He had them in duct tape. I swear he wore the same boots.
Yeah.
It was all like, oh.
Well, I missed him last year when he came, so I'm excited to see him.
He didn't have his boots on last year. And I was like, dude, I just want your boots. He thought that was pretty funny. And he stopped, he was showing me him, he's like, man, gotta have duct tape.
Are there any other shows going on this weekend that you know of? I think that those are the shows that I knew about.
I'm gonna see if I can kick something up. I gotta get on my events page.
Gotcha.
I'm working all the behind stuff for our next guest, Ed Colver, so if you're turning in for Ed, we'll be getting with him shortly, but we're trying to get on local events. We are based out of the Tampa Bay area, but if you're in an area that want us to talk about shows in the area, we'll be glad to plug them.
Yeah, people pay good money to come where we live. Not necessarily see us. Half of them don't really want to.
Hey, man, the shows in St. Pete do great, though.
Oh, yes.
The punk shows in St. Pete have steadily inclined in the last 2 years, I can say that.
It's a great area here. It's better than driving to Tampa, that's for damn sure. Sorry.
Yeah. It does suck having to drive over the bridge, I understand that.
Yeah. I did it in the 80s, man. Did it in the late 70s, and I swear to God, I don't know how we made it across
Back
the
and
line.
forth?
Oh, yes.
For shows?
Yes, that's where the cover one eye.
Oh, yeah.
Came into.
Going over the bridge.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we came across my girlfriend. She had to stop, and she's all like, "Man, stop! I gotta pee. I gotta pee my pants. I gotta pee my pants."
Oh, our East Coast bands. We got 26 this weekend.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
What's up, 26?
Go
What's
ahead.
going on?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah,
No, I
what's
wasn't
going on
thinking.
at 26?
No, go ahead.
Something.
As I was saying, so we pulled over into a motel, and she jumped out of the car, and she's just pissing like a racehorse, man. I'm in the back seat, just barely holding my head up, and I look over, and the car across us, and there's two guys sitting in the car. He's actually almost leaning out the window, looking down at her. And she gets back up. She's like, "Man, thanks for stopping." He's like, "Wave bye now, Di. Wave bye. Bye-bye, boys." I guess you had to be there.
I'm just in another world right now. Sorry.
Well, we are here. We are the ED show Fanzine, erectile
I just want to
dysfunction.
go get a beer, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brandon didn't go far.
I'm having heat stroke. I'm in another land. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just spaced out. I was like,
At least you didn't turn the mic off.
Right?
Yeah, Mike.
McHugh. Yeah, they didn't cut off tonight.
Yeah, I hope you guys are here next week or the week after. Next week, we're going to have Sicky Wife Peter on from the Mentors. We're going to have Mauro from Raw Power, Luis Rivera from Antidote, and Carl Morris from a couple bands. Right now, Billy Club is the one that right now comes to mind, but he's been in a couple other ones, Broken Bones and Exploited. But anyways, so check out next week. I got to talk about that now because I don't know if we're doing a second interview. We might have a second show too. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you got that. Our friend Flash coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be on the 1st at Fubar. That's first Friday. They do free shows there. So we've got F, my band The Scurvy. I think Sin God's on that show too. It's the first time that I've had them on a TBHC event. And No Talent. They sound like No Effects.
Oh wow.
Pretty good, yeah. Should be a decent show.
Cool. Dreb, you got anything going on?
Somewhere. Somewhere, I'm sure. My invite's in the mail.
Okay. Before we forget, you mentioned ED Show Fanzine at any of the Bay Area's Anarchist Closets. You get 10% off. So mention ED Show Fanzine.
Stop in and see me, yeah.
Yep.
I'm at the new store here in Largo. It's 7500 Almerton Road, just near the Wing House.
Number 11, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And if,
Right by the cool reptile store.
yeah.
The best little
Those guys are
reptile-
actually cool in that
Oh, yeah, they
reptile store
are.
there.
I like them a lot. I get a lot of mealworms from there. Super
There's
nice.
actually there's Mystic Goddesses in the same strip, and so's High Tide. There's a bunch of cool places
you
in that
can
little strip.
kill a lot of birds with one stone going into that place.
Yeah.
Definitely. So check that. It's right over across from Wing House. So, our caddy corner.
I myself am wearing pants that I button.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
My
I am.
wardrobe's increasing because of that place. I've got a lot of work clothes.
And mine is shrinking because I brought a bunch of mine
Yeah,
down.
right.
Yeah. So,
And they also sell band merch. Do they not there?
Yeah, actually, we
What can you get there, Bandit?
we just took in a bunch of stiff pull stuff.
That's
actually,
true. Stiff pole. We got Pink Lincolns down here, doll parts, Last Great Hope.
Yep.
Pink Lincoln's newest one, Trailer of Pain, which
Yep.
is a CD with 7 inches.
Yep,
45.
there's a couple things left there. I know that a couple things went recently. I think that somebody might have stopped by and picked some stuff up.
yeah, but there's still a lot of stuff up there. No
Yep.
Loves is up there,
Yeah,
man.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We all miss Jim. Jim moved up to Nashville.
Indeed, I gotta get him down here for a show. We'll at least have a show where
He
they
wa-
can come
it
back
looked
and
like
do
he was
something.
having a problem finding a drummer up there in Nashville.
Yeah, I know some people up in that area, so I might start shooting some messages because he just needs a drummer. So
Maybe-
Loves can
Maybe our guest after Ed may be able to help him out. He's up in that area.
nice.
Nate.
Yeah.
And what else do we have? We have some of the scurvy there at the closet too, correct?
I got all kinds of TBHC merchandise
Yeah,
up there.
Mosquito Teeth.
There's Mosquito Tea stuff. There's Bros of Scotland shirts.
That's a tight shirt.
I just got in some Nerds Raging buttons and some other things too.
Cool.
So
Yeah, my sister got bruises on her knees from the show over the weekend. Slid on the beer-soaked floor. Boom.
Oh, where at
Nerds Raging.
Oh, up at the. I got you.
Yeah, she showed me her bruises.
I know they destroyed the Dickbot costume. The singer smashed his robot costume, so now they're gonna have to
make a new one.
Make a new one. I think this is like the third one. So, I mean, it gets kind of rowdy. So how well does a robot costume stay together?
It needs fans on that.
I heard the floor was like one of the slip slide games.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, I know that's fine.
It's Fubar. I mean,
That's
this Friday we got
you know.
Generic Race there, and the last time they played there, I was telling you, somebody broke their leg. So
But we're going just to have fun.
it'll be, I mean, I don't really get in the pit and start throwing people around anymore, but...
Yeah. Well, you know.
It's hard to not go in it.
The weekend ain't here yet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when that comes, yeah.
Cool.
What was free shows? Else I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, so Ellis is asking why we have free shows.
Why free?
Well, the deal with the free shows is we're just trying to get the music out there to the fans, I guess. I mean, you know, and at Fubar and at Octave as well, you know, those bars, if you get a free show in there with 6 bands in one bar or 4 in the other, you know, those people that are going to be at that show that just come in that are regulars that wouldn't have even heard the bands, they're going to hear it and they're going to, you know, latch into that music, hopefully.
Unless you want to pay some admission, you know, cover at the door. I mean, I'm sure they'll take your money out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so yeah, bring cash.
Hey, the more booze you buy, you know, that helps. Bring people into the bars. You know, it helps to bring the scene, you know, together. The F show that's coming up is free because on First Fridays they always do a free show.
We had
at
them on
Fubar.
interview, did we not?
So
yeah, we had Flash on. That was a good interview.
I thought he sounded like a real fun guy.
Those guys sound good. I can't wait to have him in St. Pete. But yeah, that basically, Alice, that's why we do the free shows.
We're fucking lucky to live here and have that around us. So you just need to go out and support your independent bands, period. That's for sure. It's a scene because it's made to be. It was meant to be.
Yep.
Like little miracles.
Yep. And we're working on our next guest. I'm going to punch his numbers in.
Gotcha. You got Ed coming on?
Yeah, Ed's going to be coming on.
Awesome.
And,
yeah, you know that Warp Tour's this weekend, too, on Friday. That's the other reason.
We don't need to mention that.
I know.
Hello.
Hello, Ed. It's the ED Show Fanzine. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, Eric. How are you?
Great, great, great. I am also joined here with 2 of my co-hosts. I have Dreb to my right.
Cheers.
And then I have Brandon. Say hi, Brandon. So,
Brandon.
Cool. I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you.
Been a big admirer of your work and stuff, and not even knowing it was your work.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people need to know who you are, respect your work, admire it. I mean, I've admired it for years, and like I said, I didn't even know it was yours.
Yeah, people have uploaded it onto the internet everywhere with no credit, so it's all over the place, and nobody knows I took them. I'm working on it.
Well, I wish you luck, and if we can do anything to help you or spread the word, because it's not just you it's happened to, it's other photographers, other artists.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks. It's not like video or anything where, you know, videos and audios are a bit different. I mean, photography is your way of presenting your work. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, virtually every time I'm on Facebook, I find some of my uncredited photographs. There was one posted up today Old picture of DI.
So you go far as a club, or is it the Mask?
What about it? I'm sorry.
When you started doing photography, did you start doing it at the Mask, or when did you start doing that, taking pictures?
I started shooting photos in the late 78 and basically started at the Hong Kong Cafe.
Okay. And
You know, bands like the Bags and the Weirdos and Theater and the Circle Jerks and, you know, Gun Club and stuff like that. Legal Weapon.
Gun club,
yeah, that's
The Gun Club.
definitely.
yeah. So then, what made you really start getting into the punk shows? I mean, did you in other places?
Oh, you mean, well, at the same time, basically, but it was Hong Kong that got me hooked.
Oh, cool.
Yep. That was fun times. I love that club. They're doing a documentary on it. I've been helping them out. It's really pretty neat.
Nice.
What's the name of that documentary?
I'm not real sure. I just printed a picture I took at the facade of the Hong Kong at night with the neon lit up, and I shot it in 1979. I scanned it today, actually.
On the screen for the people at home, I have a picture that we used on the invite. It looks like it's Henry Rollins, and he's jumping out into the pit. And that's for your new show. You got a show at Lethal Amounts, is that correct?
Yeah, it's opening on September 20th. I shot that picture of Henry Rollins the first night he was with Black Flag. It was Black Flag and the Texas Stains and the LA Stains at the Cuckoo's Nest in 1981.
Wow,
That's awesome.
That's a pretty, both the Stains on the same bill, man. That's crazy. So
Epic picture. Epic.
yeah,
So the
so
wild night.
You have the proof.
yeah. So how many shows do you think you've gone to over the years, Ed?
Well, I could just about say that between late 78 and mid or early 84, I went to 1,000 punk shows alone, but I was going to concerts in the 60s when I was a teenager. I saw the Mothers of Invention in 1966 and Alice Cooper's LA debut with the Mothers in 69 and Captain Beefheart and all kind of like Blue Cheer and all those bands.
Wow, man, that's just some real
Yeah, you were always a music fan, it sounds like.
yeah.
What's that? I'm sorry?
I was saying, it sounds like you were always a music fan. I was kind of curious when you decided to start.
Music. In the 60s, I was listening to like hard underground psychedelic music was my favorite stuff back then. And then in the 70s, I didn't like too much other than the Stooges and Patti Smith, and then the punk scene started happening in L.A. and that was fun.
It was a beautiful thing.
The what?
It was a beautiful thing, the punk scene.
Yeah, it was. It was really something. It was kind of like a 5-year party to me. It was like I'd see my friends like 2, 3, 4, 5 nights a week, and hanging out, and it was a great time.
Yeah. So the time you've taken all these photos, and back then it's not like today with the digital. I mean, how many rolls?
Not at all.
I mean, did you do all your own developing and stuff?
Yes, I shot all my stuff with a cheap 35mm camera with a 50mm lens.
Wow.
And if you ever see it, all my punk rock stuff, and it was virtually entirely black and white until I started doing 2 1/4 album covers like Sleep and Safety and stuff. But all I shot was black and white in the punk scene. It was all with a 50mm lens. You see it close up, I'm bumping elbows with that guy.
Yeah, man. Now, how many cameras do you think you went through at all these shows, being that close and being in the pit?
I had 3 during the course of the time. I started out with a real piece of trash, a Yashica rangefinder, and got rid of that after a few months. And then I got a little, like a Olympus, I think it was, that I shot almost everything with.
Do you,
No autofocus, no motor drive, no, none of that stuff. It was just like, my little camera flash had to take like 8 or 10 seconds to recharge even before I could take another picture. I missed a bunch of stuff waiting for that thing to recharge.
oh, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
What do you use today?
iPhone and iPad.
Really?
Yep, I never even used a digital camera.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. Are you in love with digital?
No, not really, but it's kind of fun. I like playing with apps and stuff and tweaking photos on my phone. I have a good time doing that. But I've never been on a computer, so I don't really know Photoshop or any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's Photoshop has got me really handicapped. I used to be a real tech guru back in the 80s, but I kind of just stopped doing it. And it's I can't figure it out. Save my life.
I don't use Photoshop at all. I make flyers all the time, and I can't even use Photoshop. It bothers me.
That's fun.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because I know how to do a bunch of the graphic stuff on computers because in the late 80s and 90s, like most of my friends were graphic designers that worked for record labels and stuff, and I saw the beginnings of graphic design and stuff going on, and over their shoulders and stuff. And I showed a couple of people I don't know how to work a computer, but I told them how to do a couple of things. They were flipping out.
It's like it's a lot of people we have on here we do Skype calls with, and they don't know how to conduct it or run it, and it's usually they get their daughter or their son to help them out.
Yeah, the 5-year-old to go do it for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So have you seen Rick Agnew play lately?
Yeah, about a month ago was the last time, though.
Yeah.
He's doing really good. I'm really proud of him. He's doing real good with the Tom in his life, and Daniel Barco managing him and stuff. He's got it together right now. It's great.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm responsible for the original members of Christian Death getting back together. Rick Agnew, George Bellinger, and James McGarity are reforming.
Cool.
That'll be pretty neat. They have Casey Chaos is going to be singing and playing guitar too.
And what are they touring as?
What's that?
What's the name of the band? Is it still? It's not Christian Death anymore.
Angels of Pain.
Angels of Pain. That's I'm right now. I've got the art, your work from the Christian Death Hollywood Live.
The bootleg with my picture on the cover?
Yeah, I'm showing that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no credit either.
This is on your page. It's on the DVD I'm looking at.
Got the one with the Roz with the cross over his head?
Yes.
Yeah, I shot that at Alspar. I bet you there's no credit even in it.
That sucks.
Roz Williams' quote-unquote fans are the worst ripoffs there are. That stuff is everywhere.
Oh, man.
I even asked this clown, I had one of my Roz Williams posted up, and it's like, he loves Roz Williams, and he loves my iconic photograph of him, and he totally dissed me. I said, would you please give me photo credit on my Roz Williams photograph? He goes, these are on the internet for anybody to use. It just blows my mind. All I asked for was photography credit for my photographs.
Oh, you definitely deserve it, and if I...
Hey, it's like, as I say to people, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's like, would you post a song without the band's name? What is the difference?
There is none.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to ask you about your Chuck Burke stage diving picture. Can you elaborate on how high he is and how that took place? Is he jumping off an amp, or what is he doing?
Oh, no, he ran diagonally across the stage and did a flip into the crowd. He was probably about 12 feet off the floor when he was airborne in my photo. I have several different photos. People think I did him with a motor drive, and it's like, hell no, there's a totally different jump. There's a vertical one of him flying through the air, and the bouncer's got a coat on in the picture. And it's like, you don't take a motor drive picture, a horizontal, and immediately a vertical. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. I never did have a motor drive. But that's Chuck Burke, a skateboarder, and he was jumping off stage at DOA Adolescence in a Stiff Little Finger show at Perkins Palace, July 4th, 1981. And I shot that picture during the Adolescence set.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
The alternate one I was talking about, the vertical one with Chuck flying in the air, his feet are cut off in that one. But that picture's in focus, I might add. He ran diagonally across the stage, and I got it. And the fact that I was on stage is what makes that picture good, because if it had all the lights and the guitar players and everything in the picture, it wouldn't have been anywhere near the same. The fact that it's like that beautiful black background and he's just silhouetted is what made that.
Yeah, your pictures really the way you got everything. If you were there, you put a different light on it. You know what I mean? It's
I was. I'm sorry.
You show in a different way from, I'm sure, of being there as all the people that have been at that particular show, and then the way you took this picture, man. It puts it, I'm sure, in a different light. Have people ever said that to you, man? I never, you've got a moment where they're at a show and you captured it and you go, man, that's a great picture. How did you do that? Do you ever get people coming
up? Ready. I had my shutter button pushed halfway down and watched every show through the viewfinder, like it was like watching the whole show through a keyhole. I was always ready. I would shoot photographs to the rhythm of the music, so I would know anytime anybody was going to jump, they'd go da-da-da-da-da, boom, and then I was ready to shoot the photo and catch the airborne shots and everything because I was, anticipating them. And I tried really hard either to shoot one person or the entire band with the drummer showing on the stage when I was doing live photos. It was like anything else to me is just worthless. Like 3 out of 4 people, it's like I have tons of pictures like that. I never printed those. I've got like lots of stuff, a black flag and stuff that maybe Robo doesn't show, and it's like, nah, it doesn't cut the mustard to me.
That's pretty cool that you've got. If you could imagine how much you spent on film before digital came around, how many rolls of film?
God. How many rolls?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to put it, because I'm just it's strictly amateur. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but, I always get critiqued to having too much ceiling in my pictures and blah, blah, blah. And, how many...
I remember I actually used to open up film on the way to gigs and shove the film in my pocket and throw the boxes and the empty canisters in the back of the car, and it was actually full at one time. It was really funny looking. I should have taken a picture of it. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
That would have been a classic one.
Yeah, that's
the whole back of the car was full of yellow Kodak boxes and those containers.
You strictly did all the developing you did it at your own place, or you had your own little dark room and stuff, or did you work in a...
When I very first started out, I was sending the negatives to Thrifties, and they were messing them up. And actually, the China White Danger Zone, the murder scene I photographed, I sent that to Thrifty to be developed, and I was shocked when it came out. It was like amazing. I shot that, the murder scene on China White's Danger Zone album?
Yes.
I shot that on the way from the what's the name? The Stardust Ballroom here in Circle Jerks had played, and then I was going to Okie Dogs with some friends and came by that murder scene, and I stopped my car in the intersection and just swung the camera out the window and took one frame and tossed a friend, and my friend Kim Comet's lap and took off. I thought the cops were going to start yelling at me and stuff, and then I sent it to Thrifty, and when I got it back, it was exposure 0 in the leader of the film. The film was barely loaded into the camera, and the only reason I had color film was because I shot all 8 rolls of black and white I had, and a friend had given me this roll of fast color film, and I stuck in the camera to have something in there, and I got that shot. It was pretty amazing.
Now, how easy is it for somebody? I would love to have one of your photos up on the wall here in the studio. How easy is it for somebody to get your work, and how do you sell it?
It's easy. You could just contact me through the website. I sell fiber-based archival, signed archival exhibition prints, and I also sell signed archival digital prints. They're totally different prices.
And that's on your site at edwardcolver.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no photos of mine on my website. There's like just a couple of photos. There's about 20 photographs, which is just ludicrous. There should be 500 or 1,000 up there, and I just don't. I haven't, I don't go on the computer. I never even visit my website myself, and it's never gotten fixed up or changed after it was thrown together for my book release.
Well, yeah, I want to talk.
It's not very interesting.
Oh no,
there's stuff on there.
There's some stuff on there. I mean, I plan on buying one or two of your shirts because I mean, in years past when I went there, I believe that some of the shirts I wanted were sold out. I mean, I think you got don't you have like a Jello Biafra one?
No, I never made a Jello one.
There's one, a dark.
Bad Brains and the Henry Rollins and XE.
GBH?
No, I have photographs of them kicking around, though. I never listened to English punk music at all, though. I photographed a few of the bands.
What was your, were you getting, were they letting you in the shows for free, or were you paying your way in every show you went?
I was always in free. If I got in line, somebody'd see me and go, "Get in here, the first band's already on," stuff like that. My good friend Robert Hill is a really good photographer, and he's never done anything with his photos. I got him into 300 shows guaranteed because he was with me. It was crazy. Back then there wasn't passes and all that bullshit. I was like, I could go anywhere I wanted, walk around on stage, nobody gave a damn. It's totally different nowadays. They started doing that 3-song pass thing of shooting live, and it was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like no sweat and rock and roll. I want to clear you out before the sweat starts flowing. So I only did that once or twice in a day. I totally stopped taking live photographs in like early or mid '84, and that's actually when I got my first photography studio.
I've got a question for one of our viewers. I'm going to try to read it to you the best that I can. I think their English isn't so good, but it's from Stefan Goebel Crick, and he asks, what bands does he think he had missed? So, is there any bands that you miss?
That I didn't see?
Yeah, possibly that, or just, I'm trying to decipher what he said, but maybe we can answer it in two different ways. Maybe bands that you took photos of and you'd like to take again, or bands that you never got to take photos of but you would have liked to have.
Oh, I always wanted to photograph Karlheinz Stockhausen, the post-war German avant-garde composer, who's now passed away. I never got to photograph him. He kind of changed my life when I was a teenager in the late 60s with his music. I don't know. I haven't. I saw all the bands that meant something to me. I was out all the time and saw all these amazing bands. Like I said, I didn't listen to English stuff at all. I was like in the middle of, the birth of hardcore, and it was amazing.
Do you still listen to hardcore? And if so,
sometimes.
Sometimes. What are your favorite bands you listen to now?
Oh, what do I listen to now? I don't know. I've always liked Nick Cave. I like Grinder Man.
Thank you. Big fan myself. I love Nick Cave.
I photographed him in 1985 when he was in the birthday party.
I loved him more then too.
Hey, maybe we can, if you have any of his photos for sale, maybe we can get one for Dreb. She's such a big fan of.
I am.
Maybe I could talk to you off the air and buy one.
I'm wondering if I know it. Which picture that you took? I'm sorry to question you on it.
No, that's okay. You want what? I'm sorry?
I'm wondering if I've seen the picture that you took, and I don't realize it now.
Of Nick Cave.
Nick Cave.
Well, I shot him on the porch of the Chateau Marmont, and I don't know if the photos have ever really been published. I have quite a few, a bunch I've never even scanned. But I have one that he's kind of down in the lower right corner. It's a vertical shot with a Gothic window behind him, and his hair is all big and crazy.
I love it already.
It's probably on my Facebook page. It's in my book.
Definitely will check it out. Thank you.
And your book is called Blight at the End of the Funnel?
Yeah, Blight at the End of the Funnel.
So how is that doing? How do people pick that up? Because I want to get a copy myself.
Well, a while back I bought all the extant copies. I think Amazon still seems to have some, but I'm basically sitting all the last copies of it. I've got about 500 copies in my garage.
Well, I would like one autographed by you if that's at all possible. I don't know if I'll ever make it over to California. I'm over here in we're all over here in Clearwater, Tampa Bay area.
St. Pete.
Yeah, St. Petersburg. You know where the Dolly is and stuff like that. The Dolly Museum.
Yeah. Yep. If you ever do, it'd be fun to get together.
Yeah.
If you order a book off the website, specify that it's for you. You know, do you want it signed to you, Eric? Okay, so that way I'll know, because if people just order a book randomly, and it's like, I don't know if they want me to sign it to somebody else, or, you know, I sign them all and correct the big typo that's in there. Is one of my goofy sayings. There's a bunch of sayings in there. One is 12 steps to the fridge, and it says 12 steps to the frig, and it's in 1-inch high red letters. I'm just thrilled about that.
Hey, you're human, man. It's. I think it's one of the.
It wasn't my fault. It did. You know, I saw it when it got published. It's like, oh, who did this? And the editor never caught it or anything. It was pretty weird. So I correct every copy.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's one thing that's nice about having a hold of all of the rough ones that are left.
So let me ask you this. Back then in the 70s and 80s, you're taking all these photographs. How are people back then seeing them? Are you in Maximum Rock and Roll, Flipside, local fanzines? How are you being known back then?
Yeah, well, mostly through my album covers. You know, before, like, the end of '83, I'd already done 80 punk rock album covers. Actually, in '83, there was a single called Noise from Nowhere that Toxic Shock and Pomona put out, and it says real big letters across the bottom. It says, "Surprise, no photos by Ed Colver." It was pretty funny. The guy thought I'd be upset about it, and I'm still laughing about it. It's been over 30 years or so.
Yeah, some of your stuff. Right now I'm on the picture. You got Lucky Lear on drums, and he's raising his arm up. I've seen that picture several times. That's a great shot. I guess
from the whiskey.
Yeah, I guess so. It says L.A.
Yeah, the group Sex cover is the first album cover I shot.
Wow.
Yeah, I did their Wild in the Streets. I'm not happy with that one. They crashed a parade, and we're running down the street thinking they're going to get busted, and I was running ahead of them, sliding to a stop, and I was wearing boots, and I slid to a stop, and I'd turn around and try and focus and get a picture, and then they were almost on top of me again. I'd run ahead and slide to a stop, and then the art director knocked the band members out in black and white, which made them look dropped in. And it wasn't a good photo to begin with. It was kind of a drag, because most of the stuff I'm usually happy with.
I've got a photo up right now where you see Mike Ness playing guitar. It's just his hand, and he's like, it's got a couple of stickers, and you see the stamp on his hand, or it's a tattoo. You know which one I'm talking about?
Is it his guitar? Just his guitar?
Yeah,
or is he playing with a sailor hat on or something?
No, just his guitar in his hand.
Oh, it's just a guitar in his hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one they used on the main line of the Wreckage of the Past CD. I can't remember where I shot that one.
Well, it says L.A. I imagine you lived in L.A., so that's why, I mean...
Yep.
So
Third generation.
You were at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, but somebody would say that if you went to a show and I wasn't there, you were at the wrong gig. That's pretty funny. Yeah, well, you know, the punk scene has turned out to be, you know, like when it was underground, it was like the beatnik movement and the early real hippie movements, you know. And it was a whole kind of underground phenomenon that's changed society for the, you know. And it's pretty amazing being a part of it. It's like, wow, you know.
Yeah, you just didn't hang out with those bands. I just had a picture of REM up there, and I'm just going through. I mean, I've got a couple photos of Social Distortion. I'm going through.
I worked a lot with REM in '84 and '85 through IRS Records.
Oh, okay.
I did a lot of stuff for IRS Records. I was the still photographer on the Cutting Edge show. That's actually when I photographed Tom Waite and Nick Cave, stuff like that. That was when I was the still photographer on the Cutting Edge show.
Oh, that was the show. It was on MTV back then, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good show, man. I didn't know that.
I never saw any of it. The Nick Cave footage never got used. He tried to read a poem 9 times and screwed it up every time. It never got used.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a picture of you that you took with Dez. It's November 18th at the Starwood. That's really a badass. That's great picture, man.
Which one?
It's at the Starwood. It's November 18th, 1980. Dez is singing.
Oh, Black Flag?
Yeah, man, that's a great
Yeah,
shot.
those scans should have been manipulated a little bit. Most of those pictures are just straight scans, and they're pretty damn good, but that one's a little bit washed out. It should have been darkened a little bit before I posted that one.
Well, it's still.
Yeah, those guys are so great.
Yeah, man.
And the damage cover I did is pretty famous.
Oh, wow. Battalion of Saints. We had George on here a couple weeks ago. Great guy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he just posted a painting that somebody did of one of my old photographs of him. Those guys are great.
Yeah. Have you caught them lately? Have you seen them play?
I haven't seen him play lately. I've talked to George and hung out with him, but I haven't seen him play lately.
How about
my wife's in nursing school for the last year and a half, and she's still got a year and a half to go, and we don't get out very much lately.
Oh, okay. How about Felix's band, RF7? Have you seen them play? They've been playing a lot.
Yeah, I saw them. They're really doing good. They're a real powerhouse. I had a barbecue, the one that got Christian Death back together. I had Steve Human from the Real Vandals and the Detox, and Tony from Adolescence, and George Bellinger and Gabe McGarity and Felix this year, and Lucky from the Circle Jerks. And James and George hadn't talked in 10 years, and they got talking, and that's why the band got back together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Jack Grisham was supposed to show up too, and he didn't. He ended up texting me. He goes, "Oh, family problem, family drama." That's what he said.
Yeah, Jack Grisham was supposed to be on our show last week. He didn't show up either. So don't.
He's really busy. He's super busy.
Oh, I'm sure he is. You just go on, you type his name in online, and you see, his books. He's doing spoken word. Somebody told me he was doing stand-up or comedy. Is that correct?
He's what?
Doing stand-up comedy?
I don't know. He'd probably do that.
Yeah, and I saw.
Funny guy.
He did a video with David Yao and Off, which was really cool too. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a pretty cool video.
I haven't. Yeah, Off is doing really good.
Yeah. Do you have any photos of them?
No, I haven't. I was talking to. His name's just going out of my head. The guitar player, and I don't know why. I was talking about shooting some photos of him.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm just going through your photos. Can you tell us about the picture you have of the street shoes, and they look like they're smoking?
Oh, I did that for Triple X Records for a Ramones tribute record. The photos actually was color. I like the black and white better. There's a rat right behind the shoe on the left. If you look close, you can see a little rat poking his head out.
Oh yeah, right over there to the left. I see it.
Yeah,
really
it's
dark.
a little bit subtle. I always liked it that he was in there, but he doesn't. Most people would never notice him. It's kind of cool like that in a way.
Now, I got a question. What if a band today wanted to use one of your photos that you have? Do you still do stuff like that? I mean, are you still?
Do I still shoot?
Yeah. Well, do you still shoot, or do you have photos for sale that bands could use for an album cover or anything? Or
yeah, I've had people hit me up for old stuff that they want to use, and and I still shoot stuff. Yeah, I've done about 5 or 6 CD covers the last year.
And do you think? Did you actually go to school to do this, or do you just did this yourself?
No, I'm self-taught. I learned from my mistakes. So it's like, whoa, I won't ever do that again. And another thing that I'm actually quite proud of is, like, I've been shooting pictures for 35 years. I never advertise. I don't solicit work. My phone number's unpublished, and I use funeral sympathy cards with my information stamped on them for business cards. And then I've actually worked on somewhere around 500 album covers.
Yeah, I would love to maybe one day do another interview with you, and maybe we could go through all your album artwork together.
Yeah, I've done some strange stuff.
Yeah,
you know, I did Ice Cube's Greatest Hits package, and I did an album cover for Adrian Ned from TJ Hooker Show. Just some weird stuff.
Patricia Morrison, she's just absolutely gorgeous. She must have been awfully easy to work with.
The pictures I have of her in the Gun Club are amazing.
She's just beautiful.
Yeah, I've got pictures of her in the Bags, the Gun Club, and Legal Weapon. I've got a lot of pictures of her.
Any Sisters of Mercy?
I'm sorry?
Any Sisters of Mercy?
What about, I'm not, the voice sounds kind of garbled.
I'm sorry, did you get any pics of Sisters of Mercy?
Oh, no, I never did.
Loved her with Gun Club.
Yeah, we've got we love the Gun Club picture we're showing right now. It's we got a Gun Club picture where it looks like they're in front of a nice building with some nice architecture.
Church-like.
Yeah.
Is that what, Patricia?
Yes.
Oh, that's the church on Highland and Franklin that's just south of the Hollywood Bowl in Hollywood where I shot that picture. And then the Baptist Church pictures, those were the first Gun Club photos, the ones that were on the 6081 cover. Those were shot near the old rehearsal studio right across the street from Hollywood High School on Selma and Highland. So those two pictures were shot, different years, but about 2 blocks apart.
I'm looking at a photo right now. I'm showing everybody at home. It's opening night at the decline of the Western civilization. I mean, was this like, what year was that? Like 1980, 81?
Yeah, 80.
And was it a real big deal? I mean, looking at this photo, it sure the hell looks like it. I mean,
well, it was really strange. There was twice too many kids to get into the screening, and there was communists passing out these revolutionary worker newspapers, and the punks were getting all rowdy with them and grabbing the papers and throwing them around. And some of those photos you can see, there's only 2 that are really published, but there's newspapers blowing in the street. I might add that those are handheld, available light and nighttime photographs with a 35mm camera. Those were like one that you can read the license plate and everything. People said you can't do 1 second exposures handheld, and it's like I did it all the time. It's a trick.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man.
I shot those standing in the intersection. A friend of mine, he was on the roof, and he said there were 71 motorcycles, 7 patrol cars, and 2 paddy wagons that showed up. And I'll never figure out how the LAPD managed to scramble that many motorcycles to show up to a movie premiere. It was really strange. It's like, how do you get, if it was squad cars and stuff, I could see it, but like all those motorcycles, that was like planned, it seemed like.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, growing up in that time, were people over there really that scared of punk?
Oh, they didn't understand it. They didn't like it, I kind of suffered the same thing when I was a teenager. I had long hair and stuff, and, I'd get this, I'd go in a restaurant. I didn't swear. I didn't take drugs or anything. I was just this little, art monster, art student. It's all I cared about and stuff. And I'd go in restaurants and wouldn't get served because I had long hair. It was kind of strange. And then, the punk scene, I never dressed all weird or English punk, spiked hair, any of that stuff, But that would freak people out back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even imagine, man. And like you said, you were like the beatniks and stuff back then, it was something new, so, I mean.
Yeah, it's the same kind of, underground parallel thing that's going on with it. It's pretty amazing. It's like, it was vitally important to me. I thought, this stuff is amazing, and these bands rule, and I shot 2 file drawers full of negatives in those 2 years. In those 5 years. And, had I known it would become like the history it is, I would have shot twice as much stuff. I shot a lot, though.
Do you see any future books in your, do you plan on doing any books? Is there any works in doing that?
Oh, yeah. My one book that's out was originally supposed to be a 4-volume box set overview of 25 years of my work, like street photography, celebrity portraiture, the punk rock stuff, and my social political sculptures, and it got condensed down into one book. And right now I'm starting to work on a new book, and it's just going to be all big fat punk rock one.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, pretty damn cool, Drub says.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, I know what I'm showing the people at home is just a drop in the bucket, you know. I mean, I've got a picture of Tony from the Adolescents right here. It's L.A. He's got a Mickey Mouse shirt on. It looks like an Asian one.
Yeah, that's when he was like a 98-pound weakling. I think those photos are from his group, The Abandoned, when he was in that Mickey Mouse shirt. I think he was singing in The Abandoned at the time.
Okay. Yeah, I've got another one with Steve Soto and Casey and Tony and Steve Roberts. That's a pretty good photo. It looks like they're on a roof.
Oh, the one looks like a scarecrow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was shot at Casey's family ranch. They called it Time. I forgot what it stood for. It was out in Pomona. Yeah, I did some really funny ones. There's one where they got Tony on a swing and they saw him in half, and Casey's on this wall behind him, leaning over upside down and pop off the wall. It's pretty funny stuff.
That's great, man. Hey, so would you be interested in doing another show with us in the future? Maybe we can put this together. Put this together, and we can, like I said, go down your album covers. I want people to be able to still buy your stuff. I mean, I hope I want you to be known for years to come, man. You've got classic. I don't mean that in an old way, but I mean your stuff is awesome. I mean, I put it up there with any artist I like. It should be acknowledged that Ed Colver is a fucking awesome photographer, man. Excuse my French, but
Thanks.
how can people?
Yeah, I lived that stuff. I was there, all the time. It was amazing. It was fun.
Yeah, maybe in the future we can do like a narrative, and we get how your photos go, so maybe we could get like a YouTube video or something where you go through and you narrate through these photos and you say this is what happened that night, and it could have been a very memorable night for a lot of people because this happened or whatever, and
that'd be fun.
Yeah, do something like that.
Sure.
Cool.
Awesome. Ed, I want to thank you for doing this. This is I know you're on the West Coast. We're sweating our balls off over here in Tampa, Clearwater area. It's
St. Petersburg.
Yeah. You ever make it over here to Florida?
I'll look you up.
Yeah, man, definitely do that. We'll definitely show you a good time, man. If you have never been to Dolly, we'll take you to Dolly if you like that surrealistic stuff. There's a lot of other good studios around here. We know a lot of art people around here and stuff. Or just go out and have a good drink, whatever, man. Catch some music.
I haven't had a drink in 12 and a half years.
Okay, well, we'll go out and have some good food, man. How's that sound?
Seafood. Seafood. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, so Ed Colver, we can find you, what's your website?
EdwardCulver.com.
All right, cool. Ed, I'll be in touch with you soon. I'll put this video together for you, and I'll put it on your page, or send it to you, and you can do what you want with it. I want to thank you again. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Well, thank you for your time and interest. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you again.
All right, cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Awesome, yeah, man. So that was, to me, in opinion, that's like meeting a surrealistic painter or somebody big like Andy Warhol or.
Those photos are great, man.
Yeah,
there's stuff in there I didn't realize that he did some of those photos, and I've seen those. Those are iconic punk photos. I mean.
And just can you imagine possibly maybe getting one of his pieces for, let's just say, your album cover?
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Maybe somebody out there, maybe they want his work for them.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Fuck, he's a Nick Cave fan. I love him. What can I say?
Right.
Duh.
Cool.
Well, that was fun. Good show tonight, guys.
Yeah. Well, we've got another guest.
Guys and girls.
We got another guest. I got to crank this AC up because we all got glazed heads. It's
Speak for yourself.
Nasty Nate from the Infected, Nate Waters, out of Lexington, Kentucky. I'll be calling him in a little while. I got to get some music on and get this AC cranking because I'm sweating. How about you? You hot?
I'm a redhead.
It's a little warm.
Yeah. All right, so let's work on this next set.